Alright, guys, now we're going to talk anatomy because I love anatomy and I love all things. Alright, you guys like anatomy? I love anatomy, but I just like studying, so here's some stuff for you to study: cerebrum, cerebellum, cranial nerves, ventricles. That'll do for now. All these things tie together to make your body function properly. Sin corrupts and weakens the body because you're programmed from birth to know right from wrong. So, whether you admit it or not, you feel guilt when you do wrong. If it's not you, per se, that feels it, who you truly are inside feels it. This is why it's important to pray for forgiveness and know that you have it. Guilt rattles the body, damages the nervous system, does all sorts of damage. I struggled with stealing. I wouldn't steal from people, individuals, or homes or anything like that, but $1,000,000 or $1 billion companies, yeah, they can afford to lose a little money considering they made it off the backs of the people. I don't see it like this anymore. If it isn't mine, I don't touch it. And I know that if I need something, I just ask for it. And I also know that law is supreme. Nothing is above law. And I was commanded to not steal, so I do not. It's wrong. I know it. That's why when I stole, I would shake like a leaf. I knew it was wrong. I've prayed for forgiveness, and I've got it. I don't do that anymore. The stress it brought to my nervous system was rough. All sins do this. And fear itself does horrible things to your whole body, but love heals. Living a life full of love allows one to do untold amounts of good and brings the same amount of good to you. Even if you had never heard of or read the 10 Commandments from the Bible, you would still know right from wrong. It's built into you. It's in your very being. Some have lost it, sure, but that was their choice. And it was a terrible one. But that truth is there from the start. The body functions with laws just like everything else, and the wages of sin is death. That's why Jesus came. Men's deeds were wicked, and so all fell short of the glory of God, perfection. When they did, they would cast their sins or the guilt they felt from committing those sins, and they would cast it onto an animal or a person and banish it from the community or kill it. And that would redeem them. But then one man came and changed the game up, made it so we all could just ask in his name and save all the guilt that ravaged the body and its many intricate and interrelated systems. So, when you ask to be forgiven, know that you are. The greatest man to live up to this point, and possibly ever because time is short, took the sins of man onto himself and gave us a piece of his purity. He didn't sin. He never committed any sin, so that you could be forgiven by asking in his name to be forgiven, rather than placing the guilt on people or animals and sacrificing them. Please accept that deal. Don't let the fear and regret kill you. You know what I like to do, though? As I fall asleep, I like to think about finding these people who live in fear, which is like everybody, and praying with them and asking the Father to put their sins onto me. And then I surrender the sins onto Him. Because when you live in fear and you live in despair, your prayers fall flat out of your mouth. That's what God said Himself. He does not hear you when you live in fear and your mind goes crazy. He doesn't hear it. But I know that my prayers do not fall flat. I don't live in fear. Or nothing like it. I don't have any real regret. I never did anything that was super bad. I've never hurt anyone. Don't want to. Or nothing like that. I'm 29. I have a beautiful wife with 3 kids and 1 child with another woman. from before I met my wife. Other than one girl besides that, that's it as far as sex. Never really cared for it. Just wasn't my thing. Maybe deep down I knew that it wasn't right. I'm going to guess that's what it was. I had lots of fond memories from my childhood, and there's something I always treasured. So, when I found out what I know now, boy oh boy was I excited. Anyway, my prayers are answered almost immediately sometimes, and I love that. I have a personal relationship with my Creator who will forgive me because He loves me, and I love Him. And that's what He wants with you. That's what my goal is here. Explain in detail why you have nothing to fear. And when you realize that, you can bond with Him as well. I recommend it. If you do that first, you'll get anything you want. There is one God, one living God, and none beside Him. And He will give you anything you ask for. You just have to find peace and ask. What did Jesus say? Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be opened. That's no joke. And anything is possible for God. He created man with His breath, and He binds the stars with His hands. He makes the seasons, and He creates both good and evil, both of which are the consequences of your actions. So, take the deal. I love you all, and you'll be hearing from me very soon. Alright, so that's the scripted part. What I wanted to point out was Jesus Christ, right? He came here and He didn't commit any sins of the flesh. He didn't sin at all, which means that He never committed adultery. And my first video explains what adultery is. And if you think on that, think long and hard and think on what that means, because it means a lot. I love you all.